sharing with us the long, hard road to success. Hi, Andre. Thank you for joining us. And let's get straight into it. And can I ask you a quick question? Is what area of Sheffield did you grow up in, and when did you leave school?
So I grew up in an area in Sheffield called Netherthorpe, like slash with Upperthorpe. I left school in 2001. The area, kind of community I grew up in Sheffield was um, quite a tough area in terms of the outcomes for many young people and families, leaving school with no qualifications, low aspirations, no education. And I think for a lot of young men, what looked like myself, that was kind of the common theme. I always tell people when I finished school, majority of my friends were permanently expelled. I think 90% of them from our area. There's only me, maybe a handful of us actually finished school. Most of them was all permanently expelled, which was sad to see.
So, um, you started to play basketball. How old was you then? And then suddenly you became a professional basketball player. So, the first
Yeah,
question is, how old was you when you started? And when did you become professional? How did that come about? And who did you play for?
yeah. So I started playing around the age of 11, 12 when I went to secondary school. So I was in secondary school, and some of the boys were playing around, so I just joined in. And I think for some of the boys who I was playing with, I went to a predominantly white school. I think everybody assumed I should be good because I was black. So I think there was that kind of stereotype. You've got to be good. I actually pretty was. Yeah, I was quite athletic. I jumped pretty high. So I think that kind of led me. And then one of my friends said, "Oh, why don't you come to a training session?" Which was a junior team, Junior Sharks. And this is the first time I started. I think this is the first time other kids probably started interacting with me within the area because, as I mentioned, my majority of the kids, I think, probably had a little bit of a feared me in a sense because the area I came from, all those kind of things. I think it was a little bit intimidated by me. But basketball was a open channel where we kind of did have the conversations with kids from a particular area I would have never normally would have. So a particular friend said, "Oh, why don't you come down to train?" So I said, "Oh yeah, why not? I'm not really doing anything else."
And it's not a bad option, is it? Really, if you make it, yeah.
It's not a bad option. So yeah, luckily I got a professional contract. I played in Sheffield Sharks, which is the BBL league, which is the top league in England. I played for Manchester. Also played a team called Sheffield Arrows. Yeah, I mentioned represent England. I was able to travel to America. So it was, I got to travel all around Europe playing France, Spain, Andorra, and this is as a young boy. And this is as a, from the age of 14 to 18. I always played in pain. I always had bad knee pain. But I got used to the pain. I didn't think much of it really. And then it got to an age of maybe 22, 23 where the pain was severe. Um, so I kind of got normalized the pain until eventually a rupture patella tendon. I was around the age of 24, 23, 24. I realized, yeah, that was it. It was literally the end of sport. And I think that's the case of for many sportsmen. You get to an age where if you're not making, real rewarded financially, it becomes what do I do next in life? So I finished at 23, 24. What do I do in life?
It sounds like you've had an amazing career up until you're 23, 24, and then you've gone from basketball professional to football agent. What happened there?
Yeah, so end of bad injury. Um, and as a professional athlete, this is part and parcel of the business. Sport is a short career. I think probably the mistake I made was putting so much emphasis on sport as the be all and end all to give me a career in life. Um, so it came to an end 22, 23. My mom passed away at that time. When I was 19, 20, my mom got ill with cancer. So she battled with bowel cancer for a period of time. And she passed away Yeah, and it was around 22, 23. So, in actual truth, probably when she passed away, it was almost, in almost the way I'll call it, shackles off, actually, I'd say, which is a weird thing to say. And what I mean by that is shackles off is in, there was, I would quite the negative, I'll call it thoughts or negative energy was kind of gone. So I felt like, in a way, I'm going to try this and nobody could tell me no. Most of my ideas, my mum said, are foolishness. So all of a sudden, it was like the shackles off. My mum passed away. I was really sad what to do, but it was almost shackles off, and I'm going to try this. Probably, maybe prior to that, maybe I wouldn't have tried it. But yeah, so me and my friend said, look, where's the money? So we said football. I would say, listen, the reason probably why I couldn't reach certain levels, particularly in the agent industry, is because I'm too honest. Transparency. I would say, to really be successful in the agency business, you have to be cutthroat and willing to throw people under the bus. And what I mean by that is, there's a lot of money. Where there's a lot of money, there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of corruption in football, from managers, from clubs. It's the finance of it. There's a lot of money, which drives a lot of, and it's also that that negative. What I'm talking about is also with families I work with. So it's not just the football clubs. It's not just the agents. It's also relatives of the player, but also I have to put a part of the issues within it. It's an industry where I wouldn't recommend it to somebody. As a player, now as an agent, I think myself going through that, I think it didn't shock me. I guess particularly in the how I grew up, and I'm not averse to being around corruption, and those type of things. So it didn't shock me, but what surprised me was the type of people doing it, I would say. And these are your people what we think were, for better words, prim and proper, educated, well, to do people, lawyers, what are full of part in the corruption. I think managers, I probably expected them to take bungs on the side, because I kind of, growing up and you see TV, I think I kind of expected that, so it was no surprise to me. But when you're seeing professional people doing it and doing it to clients, it's hard to take. And I've seen many players fall victim to, in other words, you could call it scam, and being manipulated by certain individuals, whether it be lawyers, whether it be people hierarchy in the clubs. It's sad to see, and I would always be quite upfront and honest, and I think that kind of doesn't suit me well. I think that people frown upon it, because I always say clubs or players in academies, agents, they want to keep the player as dumb as possible, I always call it. They don't want to educate them. They don't know. They don't want them to understand really the financial dealings. They don't want them to understand legal documents, because this gives them a footfall to be able to manipulate for their own gain. And I would say it's quite rife within the industry, which is sad. And I don't see it changing anytime soon.
Well, I just want to say a big thank you, Andre. Your dedication, persistence, and the courage to be is an inspiration. I hope all those young people and adults who feel the barriers to success are too high will think again to realize they've got to keep on pushing. Thank you, our followers, for taking the time to tune in to the ADF, and see you next time on the ADF Movers and Shakers across the African diaspora.